So it has the following instructions. As usual, you must be used to these instructions. Yes, it has 3 sections as usual. And section A, which is always compulsory. Section B, which consists of 3 questions, and you're supposed to always choose 3 questions. Section A is of 30 marks, and section B is of 80 marks. If it is 40-40, that is 110. Then plus section C, you are given 3 questions. You are supposed to choose 1 question from section C. You can see this. So this goes up to your question paper of metric. That's how you're supposed to write it. As you can give, you are given here objective type of questions, which are multiple choice, or completing sentences, or matching. They are supposed to give you 30 marks. You are supposed to finish them within 20 minutes. Then section B, there are 3 dialectic questions, as you've already seen that, but we are supposed to choose 2 questions, and each is of 40 marks. You can see this. If you choose 2 of these ones, this is going to give us 80 marks. And then finally, you come here, you choose 1, either 1 question from the business ventures, that is number 5, or from business roles, which is question number 6. You're supposed to choose 1. So here we go. We start with our multiple choice questions. It is always from question 1 to 5. These are multiple choice questions. As we're going to look at them, you're supposed to answer them, look at alternatives, so that you can choose the most appropriate question. Majority of us don't read questions fully, and we always make a lot of mistakes. It is very important for us to first read the question, understand what the examiner wants from us, and then we look at the alternatives before we choose the most appropriate answer from the alternatives given. Okay, let's look at this. For example, question 1.1.1 says, the dash serves as the constitution of the company. Yes, we are given alternatives. Like, for example, we have that it is the initial public office, the initial public offer serves as the constitution of the company. This is never there. It has never been one of the documents of the companies, and therefore it is wrong. So when you look at the memorandum of incorporation, definitely this is the most appropriate answer. You know why? Because when you look at, because whenever we are given objective multiple choice questions, we are given a confuser and others which are so irrelevant. So because we are saying this is not needed, this is irrelevant, what is most likely to be so close would have been a prospectus. But a prospectus is a document which invites the public to come and buy shares into a company. It's not all about, it has never served. It has never served. Sorry about that. It has never served as a constitution for the company. A prospectus invites the public to come and buy shares from company. Therefore, we have the memorandum of the incorporation. This gives rules and regulations, the role of every employee, every shareholder, how shares are going to be shared, and even other aspects that controls discipline and even other duties, what contracts, they are all here. It gives you what you're supposed to do. Job description and specification are within the memorandum of operation. Yes, we can look at question number 2 of the multiple choice, which says Delta Bakeries Management wants to extend their brand into Australian market by looking at views opposing or supporting the change. This problem-solving technique is known as, okay, question 1.2, 1.1.2 talks about problem-solving techniques. Okay, let's start with the first problem-solving technique, which is Delft technique. Okay, I want to remind you that when we want to use Delft problem-solving technique, this involves the use of experts. A company hires the experts who are given different questions, which has a problem on the questionnaire, for the experts to fill, to give us the resolutions, to give us the findings or ways on how to solve the given problem in the company. Delft technique is not what we are looking at here because it talks about experts and use of questionnaires when we are solving a problem. Delft technique is not applicable here because we are talking about views opposing and supporting a solution or an idea of change. You understand? So we are not taking this at all. Let's look at what we call brainstorming as their major alternative. When we are using brainstorming, we bring up all the stakeholders, including employees. We put a problem onto the board, and then we come up with ideas. This is not about employees discussing a problem, solutions for a given problem. Therefore, it's not a problem-solving technique in the question here. This is not what is required. Let's look at what is known as force field analysis. Under force field analysis, the manager tasks employees to identify different solutions for the given problem, as well as inviting them to give advantages and disadvantages of a given solution. Let's say, for example, we need to improve sales. The sales are dropped of recent, and we need to increase the amount of goods, total sales that the company makes. What should we do? Yes, for example, we have different alternatives. Could be called market penetration, which requires us to establish different branches into different geographical area. But we have to identify different advantages and then disadvantages of market penetration. I mean, market development. That was market development. We have to identify what are the advantages of doing market development, establishing different branches or markets into different geographical locations. That is what you call market development. We look at disadvantages or advantages of that. Then it could be because of market penetration, which talks about reducing the prices of the current products so that they look cheaper compared to our competitors so that we can sell. So we look at advantages and disadvantages of such a market, such a solution, and then we compare which one is better. And therefore, This one is what is most appropriate. Question, alternative C is the most appropriate answer for that aspect. Yes, so we don't need to look at this because the others are confusers. Look at question 1.1.3. This question 3 of the multiple choice, which says the business venture avenue where a business opts to pay for the use of an asset instead of owning it is known as definitely this is not franchising, because when we talk about franchising, you buy rights from the franchisor to start a business that is same as that of the franchisor. The fashion, the ingredients, the make, everything must be similar to that of a franchisor. This one is not that. When you look at outsourcing, this one, a business is trying to use the services of another business which is more skilled, which has more ability to perform a function that it can only do, so that this business concentrates on what can do better. For example, if it was a construction company, it may hire the services of an installation company to come and install electricity into a building. Yes, that is what we call outsourcing. You bring more technicians so that they help you complete your task. That is outsourcing. And this is not vending totally out. It's not that it. And then leasing. Leasing is the most appropriate here. What is leasing in this regard? We do lease, we hire, we buy ownership of a given business asset for a given period of time, but a person who is the bona fide owner of that property is called the leaser. The leasee is the person who's hiring it. You own it for a given period of time, but the leaser will repossess his asset after a given period of time. And this is automatically what the examiner was talking about. Yes, for example, MK company can hire a building, use a building for 45 years, and then after that duration, the bona fide owner of the building retains it. That is it. When you look at question 2, it talks about employees of Choice Limited conduct themselves with respect and maintain high standard of service. This is an example of governance. This is not right. It's wrong. It's a wrong option. It is unethical behavior. We look at this. It is unethical behavior. Let's look at this. Then there is what we call professional behavior. These are the two more appropriate answers. Let's find out why are we choosing these ones, and then we see what exactly is most appropriate. For example, the employees of Choice Limited conduct themselves with respect and maintain high standard of service. And definitely, it's ethical behaviors. If you are to explain what we call ethical behaviors, these are expected behaviors from a person in a community, behaviors that are generally acceptable in the society. Those are what we call ethical behaviors. Whereas professional behaviors, these are behaviors which are acceptable in the workplace. They include the way we conduct ourselves, obeying to rules and regulations of the company, the code of conduct, the dressing code, and automatically this is respecting employees, timely services, and this is exactly what the examiner wanted. This is exactly what the examiner wanted, and that is the exact answer. Okay, so here we go to our last part of the multiple choice question, which talks about Nita Associates has their directors jointly liable for the debts of the business. This form of ownership is known as Nita Associates has directors jointly and severely liable for the debts of the business. Just a reminder, this we are talking about business ownership, forms of business ownerships, which you must be familiar with. What is a private company? A private company is different from other forms of business ownership. For example, it's different from a sole proprietorship because under a sole trade business, it's owned by one person. What about a partnership? Under that partnership business, few individuals start up a business, contribute capital, take part in day-to-day running of the business. And that is different from what we call a private company. A private company is managed by board of directors who are given the mandate by shareholders to come and run the business on their behalf. So it's so different from what we call public companies because when it is time to contribute and raise capital, it is only members of a private company, shareholders that contribute capital, unlike public companies, which invites the public by drawing a prospectus to come and buy shares from the company. But under private companies, it's only shareholders that have to contribute more capital into the business. And it is not in line with what is required here, that directors are not jointly liable the debts of the business. Okay, let's look at partnership. Partnership doesn't use directors. It's the shareholders or partners who take part in the day-to-day running of the business. What about personal liability companies? Personal liability companies. Under personal liability companies have the same characteristics like what we call private companies. And for your information, the new act says that the directors of personal liability companies have an obligation to meet the debts and other liabilities of the business should these directors intentionally or participate in such losses or liabilities of the company. The directors are jointly liable. They are jointly liable for debts and other liabilities of the business. And that is what we call personal liability companies. Personal liability companies. And this was totally out. Non-profit organization was totally out. Partnership was totally out. And the confuser here was the private company. Should take note of that. Let's look at this next section of a question, which is question 1.2. Under this, we are given a list of words, and we are given, as you can see, a list of words are given in here, and we are given sentences that we are supposed to complete. Therefore, we are completing sentences using the given words. For example, you can say, the question says, complete the following statements by using words in the list of table, in the list below. Write only the words next to the question number. That is 1.2.1 to 1.2.5 in the answer booklet. Look, so how are we supposed to go about this? Before you answer any question from this point here, please make sure that you read through, you go through all these words and try to digest them. Understand what is a questionnaire in your own understanding. Try to remind yourself about what unlimited, and this could be about liabilities. Then remind yourself about what we call a crisis. Remind yourself about what shareholders are. You should read everything. I mean, read every terminology here, which is given into a list, which is in the list here. Limited liability, yes, intertrade. We're supposed to read about them. Most of the words, I want to remind you once again that they were always provided with, you are always provided with an answer, and then it's a confuser. You must be very observant. When you are reading these questions, you must be very, very, very observant so that you don't get confused by the confuser. Every statement here, every statement, every word from the list has got a confuser. There is a true answer, and then one is confusing. You must be very, very careful when you come to answering questions. For example, look at this. This question: Hope and Grace partners lost their personal assets when their business became insolvent. Their business has dash liability. So class, this can remind us of what is called, we can remind ourselves about characteristics of partnership business. Of course, Hope and Grace, they are in a partnership. They are in a partnership. So partnership businesses have unlimited liabilities. And what we call unlimited liability is when the debts and any financial obligations of the business can go or can affect the assets of the owners. They are not limited. They are not limited to the capital that was contributed to the business. No. Therefore, the answer here is unlimited. The answer is unlimited liability, unlimited liability. Unlimited liability is the answer here. So that is, there we go. You can say this is question 1, alternative 1. This is alternative 1. Excuse me. This is alternative 1. Alternative 1 is for unlimited. So we go to this question here. Short deadlines bring dash in the workplace. Short deadline bring dash in the workplace. We know that that when you are given a deadline that all this workload is to be finished within the shortest period of time possible, is it likely to bring a change? I don't believe so. Does it bring directors? No. Globalization questionnaires, limited catalog, shareholders? No. Instead, it brings a crisis. It brings a crisis. This is answer 2. It brings what? It brings a crisis. It brings about crisis. This is crisis which is caused by forcing employees to give answers within to do their work within the shortest period of time possible. Look at this. A private company is managed by a board of change, directors, globalization. No, it is known. It's managed by a board of directors. It's managed by a board of. It's managed by a board of directors. It is managed by a board of directors. Yes, directors manage. This is 3. Directors manage private companies. Yes, who are given the mandate by shareholders. Let's go to question 1.2.4. Blended Coffee Factory decided to use Dash as a research instrument to gathering information on how to improve quality of their products. We come here. What we have here? Research instruments is obviously none other than a questionnaire. So a questionnaire is a research instrument that is used when we are gathering what? Information. I can remind you what a questionnaire is. This is an instrument that is used when you are collecting information from our target market. Yes, you should always make research by using questionnaire. It has a list of questions that must be responded to by the prospective buyers, the ones you want to buy your products, before you make a decision on the type of the product you're going to stock, on the price, on the color, the location, and any other business decision that you would like to use. The questionnaire is very important. So this is a questionnaire. This is a questionnaire here. Our answer is supposed to be a questionnaire. Such instrument is called a questionnaire. Questionnaire. There. Master the spelling. Yes. So we go to the next one. A new trend that enables a business to trade in other countries is known as a new trend that is used that enables businesses to trade in other countries is known as, yes, we have to, is not shareholders, is not change, definitely, it's not a catalog, is not limited, is not intertrade. Definitely, we have 2 aspects which are very important here. Globalization and intertrade is a confuser. Intertrade is confuser, and the answer is globalization. Answer is globalization. Globalization is the new trend we are talking about here. It is called globalization. Globalization. Very important. Trade restrictions under globalization are removed. There is clear communication between countries. There is free trade between countries. There is a free movement of factors of production, labor, entrepreneurship, everything just moves across the world. Trade, transport, communication is possible between countries, and that is comes with the globalization. Yes, I think we are there. That marks the end of that section. Okay, let's look at the next part of section A. So far, we have successfully scored our point marks. We are left with this last part section of choosing a description. Choose a description from column B that matches a term in column A. Yes, we are supposed to look at a description from B that will match the terminology given in column A. How do we deal with this section? First of all, look at these terminologies, look at these terms, read them, try to create sense out of them. Try to create sense, understand what your loyalties are, find out what the rights approach, what it is, and find out what sole trader, who a sole trader is. Remind yourself about creative thinking, read and try to digest what securities are. Yes, that's what you're supposed to know before you start handling the question. Having looked at section A, column A, then go to column B and then start reading each statement, each description one by one, so that you can find out whether it has any of the term it affects, or any of the term it corresponds with, or any of the term it tries to describe. Yes, look at this. A process of finding the correct strategy to respond to a problem. B, chooses and looks for what is different. C, that is very important. Try to find out what it means. Find out whether there is any terminology that is described here. This is offered by shareholders of the company as opposed to the company itself. And what is that? Then you try to consist somewhere. There's something which creates sense here. D, amount of money the business owner wants for the good trade name. Yes, I know. It feels like there's something from the terms that it is trying to correspond with. Read before you give the answer. Try to read all the descriptions, because there could be a most appropriate one. Yes. For example, look at it. A tax is paid according to personal capacity. Tax is paid according to personal what? Capacity. Yes. Then you try to understand what it is. Yes. Let's go to another description. F, amount of money made as a payment to the franchisor by the franchisee. Okay. Then we shall come to see what are they trying to mean. What are these people trying to mean? Yes, there are some payments here. Example, royalties. Which other payment is here? It's not there. Then therefore, we may think about this. Let's first go through other descriptions here. Chooses and looks for what is right. I think this is in line to certain terminology here. Chooses what is right. It's something. It rhymes so well. It tries to describe the right approach. Okay, it comes that. Let's see whether we shall find. So we try to correlate the two to see whether the two are matching before we go to the next one. safety offered by business to its customers. Safety offered to businesses, offered by the business to its safety offered by the business to its, I think this is out, to its customers, yes. A tax is paid according to profits made. A tax is paid according to profits made. A tax is paid according to profits made. Is there anything related to this description from the column of terms? No, we don't see anything there. You can come here and say a process of putting facts together in a new and original way. Yeah, there's something I saw here. Okay, we have something in that relationship, which is creative thinking. Okay, let's start again. After going through those aspects, we can still go back and find out what is our most appropriate answer. Don't ever make a mistake by choosing the answer before going through all the alternatives given. For example, loyalty here, they are given loyalties. A loyalty is the amount of money made as a payment of the franchisor by the franchisee. Okay, I want to remind you once again that when we want to use a business image, a business skill, a business name, we take that kind of, we are supposed to pay a fee from a person who has that right, who is the franchisor. The franchisor will give us rights to use a business name, to use the business skills, to use the business goodwill, to use everything that the business uses, the production methods, and anything related to that. And a person who buys the franchise is called the franchisee. It's called the franchisee. The franchisee go into an agreement which is known as the franchise. A franchise is an agreement which authorizes the franchisee to use the production methods, tactics, name of the franchisor. And you are now, after you taking up the franchise, you are supposed to pay a fund. You are supposed to pay a fee, a franchise fee known as the loyalties. And this is our answer. So for 1.3.1, alternative is supposed to be F. Supposed to be F. Answer. So when we are reading our description here, the right approach chooses what is right, chooses and looks for what is right, or for what is right. The right approach chooses what is, chooses and looks for what is right. And this is our alternative G. Write G on this question here. Right. G. Write G here as the answer for our alternative. So it is G here. Okay, let's look at a sole trader. A sole trader is a person who starts a business alone. He owns it. He faces all the liabilities of the business. A sole trader. A sole trade business is easy to operate, that is in terms of management, decisions are made alone by the single person who owns the business. And to make it very important is that in terms of taxation, taxes are only payable by the sole trader himself. You get that? By the sole trader himself, not a business. And only that depends on how much money you make. It's a kind of income tax which is charged on a sole trader, not as a company tax which is charged on a business. I don't know whether you get me. So a sole trader is charged as income, is charged an income which is called, is taxed from his income, which is income tax, but not as a company tax. You get that? Not from his business. Taxes are not charged from his business. Yes, I think you get that. That gives us the best alternative. That gives us the best alternative as E, according to personal capacity. The best alternative here is E. Best alternative is E. Yes, let's look at the next question. Having passed this very well, we look at the next question, which is about creative thinking. If we can remind ourselves about what creative thinking is the process of coming up with something new, original, and different from what has been existing. So under creative thinking is needed by all businessmen. With the creative thinking, we always come up with something new, something which is different, something which is original from our competitors, so that we can provide customer satisfaction. Our customers must be satisfied with what we offer. Our services must beat up the competition. We must take the market share from the market potential from our competitor. Therefore, we are supposed to carry out creative thinking as opposed to what we call routine thinking. So what is creative thinking in this regard here? So is a process of putting facts together in a new and original way. So our answer here is J. Our answer is J. So J is the most appropriate answer here. J is the most appropriate answer. Okay, we are left with only one option, which is securities. Securities, and these are for securities here. Our best alternative for securities are offered by shareholders of the company as opposed to the company itself. The best alternative is C. The best alternative for securities is C. The best alternative is C. Okay. We have successfully completed our section A, and the score is 30. I want to assure you, if you want to be a successful business learner, you have to work on your section A. It is very important that you should always be known on how to answer section A. Tactics talked about the skills. One, make sure that you read the question fully, read alternatives, all the alternatives given fully, and then finally we choose the most appropriate one so that you can. The best way to get to master section A is by keep practicing question papers. You keep practicing question papers. Keep practicing question papers. The more you practice, the more you get used to these questions. They are always repeated. Okay, let's go to section B. Section B, and it is we are always given, like to every standard question paper, we are given 3 questions, and we are supposed to choose only 2. Each question carries 40 marks. So whenever we commit ourselves to any given question paper, any given question, we are working for 40 marks. Try as much as possible to first read through all the questions, the 3 questions, before you make a commitment to answer a given question. First, understand which one is easier for you. We are not looking for heroes here. Those who have done the most complicated questions, no. We always take a learner who has answered the question rightly. We are not looking for who has attempted the most difficult question, but we take a candidate, a learner who has answered questions correctly. So therefore, before you commit yourself to a given question from the alternative, just find out which one is easier for you, depending on how you prepared yourself. Okay, for this matter, my reason here is to give you answers or take you through these different questions and try to see which one is the most, we try to get used to these different questions so that when you find it again or any other time or somewhere, you're able to know it and able to answer it. Okay, look at this. Question 2 comes from business ventures, and it wants that specifically is looking at what you call forms of business ownership. It wants us to name any 5 aspects that must be included in the prospectus. Okay. Remind you, they want us to name, just name. The nature of the question should guide you on how you are going to frame, to phrase, and build your answer. They are just giving us the question which says name. Name is a first order question. It is a first order requirement that wants us to give, just state, outline. We are not going to be elaborative as we are going to look at other different questions. So therefore, we are going to be answering. We are going to be answering these questions. Giving answers by just naming, just stating. So name any 5 aspects that must be included in the prospectus. How do we deal with this section? The most important aspect of this, on how to deal with this question, you are supposed to go to your answer sheet, for example, and then first of all, you number. First of all is identify. Say, I am going to answer. This part is always. So before you even go there, make sure that you start every question on its own page. Don't mix up section A with section B. Start section B, question 2 on a fresh page. So you write section, right? Section B, and you are supposed to also number question 2.1, and the question says name aspects that must be included in a prospectus, in a prospectus. So that is what we are supposed, first of all, no, it is very important. Numbering is very important, is a key factor here. If we don't know how to number, we are going to lose a lot of marks. We would have worked for no good reason. It is also important to give headings. If you cannot be affected, if your speed is fine, give a heading and underline. It is going to make you work very smart and very clean. You see? And then we are supposed to start giving our answers in a bullet form. For example, look at this. What is a prospectus, by the way? A prospectus, this is a document which is drawn by the company to invite the public to buy shares from that very From that very company that is listed in JSE, Johannesburg Security Exchange Market. We are supposed to invite the public to tell them that, look, this is what we have. We have this business and we think it will work for you. So any person who wants to buy shares from your business needs to know a lot. And a lot that is needed must be drafted in what we call a prospectus. A prospectus, remember, is a document which is drawn to invite the public to buy shares from a public company. Therefore, first of all, by virtue of its description, a prospectus must have the name. It must have the name of the company, the name of the company. Yes, it must have the company name. Yes, it must have the company name. Yes, so that you are advertising a business which has a name. It must be known. You must indicate, it must have the company overview. Company overview. Company overview. Yes. What do we mean by this? We mean the vision of the business, the mission of the business, the goals of the business, etc. That is the company's what? A business. So that those who want to subscribe for shares, they understand what they are going in for. How do they see that company in future time? Besides that, you are supposed to inform the prospector, the buyers of shares, those who want to buy shares, about the product in which the business is specializing in. You must know before you buy. You have to understand the product or a service that is offered by that business, the service offered by that what? Business. If not so, you are supposed also to show your clients your marketing strategy, through what you call the market analysis. How are you going to market your business? Market analysis. Yes. Market what? Analysis. That means, how are you going to market your product? Which strategy of marketing are you going to use? Are you going to go through social media? Are you going to use electronic media like radio stations and TV? Or you are going to use printed media like newspapers and billboards. What are you going to use? Journals, etc. What are you going to use? Besides that, you are supposed to inform the public about your management team. Who are those people that manage the business? Who are those people that do manage the business? Excuse me. Who are those people that manage the business? Besides that, how much of income that is needed? Look at the financial position, financial requirements of your business, so that the people know, understand what they are going in for. Besides that, tell them about the company assets. Company assets. What does the company possess? Do they have transport, cars, buses, buildings? What do they have? Assets of the company assets must be listed in the prospectus, so that while whoever wants to buy shares must understand what is needed there. Besides that, you are supposed to tell your expected clients or shareholders, those who are supposed to buy shares, about the cash flow. How does money come in? Cash flow. How does money come in and how do you spend on your daily basis? Besides that, you are supposed to indicate profits you expected to make or you do make as of that time. And again, tell them about losses and how you expect to deal with losses. Entrepreneurs, investors don't want to deal in businesses where losses are a lot. You get that? So therefore, that is some of the factors that you should look at that when we are trying to draft a prospectus. Besides that, you can also think about the purpose of the offer, share capital required, shares issued, property owned, preliminary expenses, those first expenses. And that one, you should not give less than 5 points under this, because the question has marks of 5. And you have to remember that it was a first order question of naming. When it is of this type, each point you give will give you 1 mark. So you have to be very careful when you are dealing with such questions from the first order section. Let's look at question 2.2, which talks about outlining the characteristics of a partnership. Outlining the characteristics of a partnership business. Remind you once again, numbering is very important. First, give a number. It is question 2.2. And we are saying characteristics of partnership very important. Yes, for those who are good at writing faster, it is important to write these smaller headings so that they help the examiner, someone who's going to mark, to understand what you are writing about. It is also very important because when during examination, it is very easy to forget the question you are attempting. On several occasions, I've seen learners mismatching answers, putting them on a wrong number. You see, it is very easier for a candidate, for a person to write characteristics of partnership on question 2.1 because of misnumbering, very risky. It's very dangerous. You would have worked for no reason. So therefore, it is very important to write those small headings because they will always remind you of what you are attempting. I think that is clear. I don't want anyone to lose any mark because of that carelessness. That's why you should give simple headings. They take less time. Don't be scared of writing them. So what is a partnership, by the way? A partnership is an agreement, is an agreement, is an agreement between two or more people, two or more people, or partners, or in brackets put partners, actually, between two or more partners. No, I think this is not the spelling, you can correct it. Between two or more partners, between two or more partners, well, yes, with a given two or more partners. Yes, we write an agreement. When we start a business, we become partners. Therefore, right, we write it, we draft it as an agreement. And two of us are supposed to contribute capital. Partners contribute capital, They contribute skills, time and effort, run a business, run a what? Business. That is what you call a partnership, isn't it? We are supposed to contribute money. That's what we call a partnership. I want to remind you once again that when we are dealing with a partner in a partnership business, both our people jointly own a business. If they jointly, partners, we said partners jointly own what? Own a business. Because they jointly own businesses, they jointly face liabilities of the business, liabilities and debts of the business. Is that very important? So when there is any aspect of a loss or a debt, every partner is liable to such a risk. Profits and losses are shared. Profits and losses are shared by the partners. Very important to understand. It's not like a sole trade business whereby all profits are enjoyed by one person. They are put on the head of one person, the sole owner. Okay, I want to remind you once again that Partners pay tax in their personal capacity. Partners pay taxes in their personal capacity. It's not a business to pay a tax, but those partners who receive their money, a tax is charged from them. A tax is charged from them, and hence, whoever gets the more income you get, the more taxes you pay. Unlike under other types of businesses like public companies and private companies, where a company itself is supposed to pay a tax in terms of company tax or corporate tax. Okay. Let's look at the scenario here. Let's look at the scenario here. We are supposed to read the scenario in question 2.2, which says to read the scenario below and answer the questions that follow. See, Bongani Communication, that is Private Companies Limited, Ltd. Bongani Communication is well known for installing high-quality communication technology. More capital can be raised by a company than an individual. Tax is paid on the taxable income of the company, and the companies pay secondary tax on dividends distributed to shareholders. Auditing of financial statements is voluntary. Auditing of financial statements is voluntary. So we are supposed to what advantages of a private company from the scenario above. What two advantages of private company from the scenario? It is very important, dear learners, to first understand very well the characteristics of private companies before you attempt such a question. Always remember your characteristics of private companies or private companies as a form of business ownership. Look at this. Bongani is well known for installing high quality communication technology. More capital can be raised by a company than by an individual because it is a private company, meaning that very many people can raise more capital. Tax is paid on taxable income of the company, and the companies pay secondary tax on dividends distributed to shareholders. It is a disadvantage. Auditing of the financial statement is voluntary. That is very important. It is an advantage. So we are required to quote. We are required to quote advantages of a private company from the scenario. So we are going to highlight in this. Let's first highlight in this. So we are saying that more capital can be raised by a company than by an individual. That's very important because very many people contribute capital compared to small trade. We are receiving a lot of capital. We are looking at also another important aspect is that auditing of financial statements is voluntary. This is also very important. Auditing is voluntary. Or financial statements is voluntary. What do we say quoting? It is very important also to understand what the statement or the requirement of the question. When we say quote advantage, we are supposed to write a full sentence that has got the answer that we need. More capital can be raised by a company, and this is what is needed. The quoting, our quote here saying more capital, write as it is that more capital can be raised by a company than an individual. An individual. Write a full sentence. Don't write a few words or a few of the things you want. You have to write a full line of it. And another point is that auditing of financial statements is voluntary. It's not by force, like in public companies. It's voluntary. It is by law in public companies to carry out financial auditing, and that makes it very expensive. You see, that is what you would have gotten these 2 marks. See? So then we are asked to explain the other advantages of private companies, Okay, let's go and look at it. It is question 2.2.2. 2.2.2 other advantages, right? Other advantages of private advantages of private companies. What is important here? What is important is that never again give us the same answers as the one was quoted from the scenario. It will be repeating yourself, and the examiner will not give you a mark for that. Always come up with different answers which you studied from your notebook. Let's look at it. Let's look at these advantages. Let me remind you once again, we can get these answers from characteristics of private companies. What are these characteristics of private companies? Unlike public companies, private companies are set up by individuals who come together to start up a business. And if they are supposed to raise capital, capital is raised by members, by shareholders within the private company. No one is supposed to raise capital by inviting other shareholders. That is not like that. Under private companies, it's not necessary. It's not necessary to appoint an auditor. It's not self-appoint an audit. It is a private company. It's not a public what? Company. It's not, this makes it cheaper compared to public companies where an auditor is a must that must come and audit the books of account, isn't it? Besides that, you are going to find out that financial statements, financial statements are not provided to the public. They are not provided to the public. No, they are just given to only shareholders. It's not of public use. It's not of public demand like public companies. You see, besides that, you are going to find out that shareholders, the owners of the business, the shareholders, can appoint they can appoint a board of directors, to run the business. You understand? This is very important. You choose a board of directors who understand how the business runs. So this is very important. Besides that, a private company operates as a separate legal entity, a separate legal entity. What does this mean? This means that it has rights to sue, it can sue, or be sued, in courts of law. If there is, in case of any dishonored contract, is that so you are free. The service provider is free to take this company, private company, to the court of law in case it dishonored its contractual obligation. Not an individual, not an employee, not even directors of the company, not even shareholders. So that is how good it is that it has a legal entity. It exists as a legal person if it is a private company. Besides that, there is continuity of the business, meaning that it can continue to exist of a business in case of the death of one of the members or shareholders. You get that? Even if one of the members die, the business will continue to exist. Okay? So besides that, you are going to find out liabilities. There is limited liabilities. The business owners, their assets are safe because it exposes what we call limited liabilities. So like if a business faces any losses, it's only the assets, the cash, the capital that was contributed that is affected, but not even the assets of the shareholder that is not within the business, unlike unlimited liability. Besides that, the board of directors, board of directors, board of directors are also liable, are also personally liable. Hey, they are also personally liable to debts of the business, in case they were found involved willingly into such debts. So if a director misuses company funds, is liable to payments of such what? That is a personal, that's what you call a private company. You are supposed to give not less than 2 points to get 6 marks, and knew any other important factors to mention, but a few. Let's look at another part of the question. The questions paper, another part says to discuss the legal requirements of the company. Discuss the legal requirements of the name of the company. Legal requirements of the name of the company. That is the most important in this question here. Legal requirements. Legal requirements of the name of the company. By law, businesses must have a name, and that name, to be legally binding, to be legally acceptable, it must comply to certain requirements. So this prohibits entrepreneurs from just naming their businesses without following the legal criteria of such business. Look at this. Let's look at how should the name of the business look like that is legally binding. How should the name that is legally binding look like? Let's look at it. It is question 2.3. Question 2.3. I told you should always remember to write the number. Question number, it is 2.3. And what is the question? The question says, you want us to discuss the legal requirements of the name of the company. Legal requirements of the name of the company. This is very important. Legal requirements of the name of the. But we need to see how should the name of the company What should it have? First of all, the name of the company. The name of the company must be the original. Must be the name of the company must be. It must be original. The name must be original. With that, what does this imply? It must not be it must not be like similar to any other business, to any other business name. It must not be misleading. It must not be misleading. Some people give names to their businesses which cannot fully explain what the business is all about. Just gives a name to the business without identifying the purpose, without telling us what exactly the business does. Get that? The company name must appear on all company documents. Company name must appear on all company documents. Company documents like letter heads, on the contracts, on every document, the company name must be there. Reserving a name for the company is the first step. You must reserve the name of the company. With the registrar. With registrar of companies. With the registrar of companies. Okay, so that no one else should take up that name. It's not compulsory though. It's very important. Your name the company name must not be similar. It's not be similar. Any other business name. Yes, very important. Don't give us a name that already exists. You will confuse buyers. You will confuse buyers, people with your competitors' product. Besides that, make sure that the name is not offensive. Not offensive name. Give us a name that is not what? Offensive, or a name that promotes hatred, or the name that is not violent. And some people give names which are very cruel and promote division, and that should not be that one of the company. So that is it, to mention but a few. Let's look at another question in respect to time. We are given on question 2.4, we are supposed to be given, we are given a scenario. We are given a scenario and we are supposed to answer questions that are following. Look at this. Yola Laundry, YW, is the company we are talking about. Yola Housekeepers is well known for providing laundry services. Is well known for providing laundry services. The management of Yola Laundry want to reduce labor costs and cut overhead expenses. What do they do if they wanted to reduce labor costs and cut overhead expenses? So what they did was to hire. They hired Tammy housekeepers. Tammy housekeepers was brought into the equation purposely to clean their offices. Wow. they hired these people because I believe these people were so good in cleaning offices. The other one were housekeepers, but they couldn't. Yolak were housekeepers, but they are not good at cleaning offices. Or maybe they were so busy. So they had to hire, they wanted to concentrate on other parts of housekeeping. So they hired another company called Tammy Housekeeping specifically to clean their offices. Okay, let's see. Identify the type of business venture applicable in this scenario and motivate your answer. Okay, we are looking at a situation of a company doing its own business or completing its work, but again, it is hiring another company. The type of a business avenue talked about here is called outsourcing. It's called outsourcing. Outsourcing. It's called outsourcing. Outsourcing here, like a construction company that just specializes in building, finds out that in the due course it needs to install electricity. That process of hiring Camel electricity installation company work with Sunny Construction is what we call outsourcing. The motivation is the reason is that they hired, in quote it directly, they hired housekeepers, they hired Tammy, housekeepers, housekeepers to do what? To clean their offices, to clean their offices. See this. This is always 2 marks for business avenue identified, and then the motivation, they always give a mark, a sub mark, giving a total mark, max mark as 3. You can see this. Okay, we are supposed to explain the advantages of a business avenue identified in 2.4.1, and the advantages are of outsourcing. That's 2.4, 2.4.2. They are talking about advantages of outsourcing. Advantages of outsourcing as a business avenue. Very important. You are doing this, but you hire another business, another venture to come and do a certain task on your behalf. Very important. Why? Because it can be used. It can be used when we have got a situation of a high staff turnover. If your staff is continuously leaving your business, you can hire another business to come and work for you. Yes. So therefore, it is a limit. It is a temporary limit, temporary solution for a high staff turnover, for high staff turnover. So when these people are leaving, you can hire others to do your work for a while until when you sort out the major problem for the why the staff is leaving, so that you hire those people. Besides that, it is very important because it allows your business, allows uh, it allows the business to focus on a major activity, on its major activity. Yes, major activity. Actually, it could be activities, and give other activities and minor on others by hiring, by outsourcing. Very important. By outsourcing, very important. By outsourcing, very important. You should always outsource, so that when you keep on measuring on what you can do better, and then you bring another activity, you hire someone else to do for you, so that work can be done effectively. You get that? Besides that, it allows seasonal 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 employment is possible. Seasonal employment or seasonal contracts is possible. Is possible. Yes, is possible. You get that? Because such people, such employees can be used seasonally in case a job is available on a seasonal basis. It's very important. You don't need to have such people on a permanent basis, because very soon after completing that task, they will be redundant. It is very important to hire these people seasonally. Besides that, look at this. Another point is that you can hire skilled employees, skilled experts. So the experts can be hired, can be hired for a specific work, for a specific work of their specialization, I don't know whether you get this. Very important. There are some people who specialize in electrical installation, and that is what they know best. So for you, with your company, which is building and construction, you hire these other people who are so good, who are skilled in installation, and can do work more efficiently and effectively. You get that? So a business has access to resources. A business has access. Business has access to resources and equipments that come with outsourced company. In brackets, put employees. These people come with their tools and equipment, etc. Okay, the minimum points here we are required 3 if they are fully explained, and they would give you a lot of marks. Let's look at another question, which is question 2.5, question 2.5, which asks us, which requires us to give reasons, discussing reasons why entrepreneurs may decide to buy existing businesses instead of starting new businesses. Why do these people choose to buy the already existing businesses? Very interesting. These people, they find out that it is for them, it makes sense to purchase already existing businesses instead of starting their own businesses. Some people have found it very peaceful and profitable to start businesses, to buy already existing businesses. What could be reasons? Yes, such an existing business which has been in operation may be having already, they have a well established customer base. Get that? Yes, there is no need to look for customers. They are already existing. So therefore, very important, you purchase already existing business as long as it has its clients. You are going to have just continue operating. Besides that, the business may have already existing suppliers. Instead of starting from the scratch, looking for your suppliers, the business already has its suppliers. Therefore, it is of no good use to start a business which already have its existing supplier. To get new suppliers may be very complicated, but just to start from scratch, look for new suppliers. It's not easy. Just buy already existing business which has got its existing supplier. Besides that, the business has existing businesses, businesses may be having have established staff. You see, the staff which are already experienced. Get that? It is easier to start with them instead of looking for the new clients. I mean, new employees. It's better to do that, to start with the already existing staff. No need to do market research. No need to carry out market research, because the already existing business has done market research and they can give you all the details before they leave you to run the business. So such things and many other advantages prompt entrepreneurs to start to buy existing businesses instead of starting new businesses. It's better you just go on with the already existing businesses with other advantages. Look, We are not talking about disadvantages today. Today we are looking at the advantages. Okay, class. We need to look at something else. Businesses, on question number three, you may have taken it as your question of choice, and it is specific here. It's about business roles. After successfully scoring too much, a lot of marks there, you are supposed to come and also choose another question, which is question 3. It could be either question 3 or question 4. And you see how you can answer it. As usual, I don't expect any person to choose question 3 when he cannot attempt 3.1, because it is always simple. It is a very fast order question that requires us to state, to mention, to name, outline. Those are very simple verbs that we just need to work on. Should always read and always know them. So our question 3 talks about crisis in a workplace. Crisis in a workplace, and they want us to give examples of crisis, just to name a crisis. This is a situation that may make the business to stand still. Unprepared occurrence in a business that makes work to be on standstill. There are so many things that may make our work to be on standstill. For example, it could be loss of property due to fire. Fire causes a crisis in a workplace. This is one of the causes of the crisis in a workplace. It could be theft of an asset or equipment, theft of an equipment. Sometimes you go to work, there is a tool or an equipment that is supposed to be used, but it has been stolen. It could be sometimes stock. Sometimes someone could have taken stock, and it causes a crisis. It could be breakdown of a machine, breakdown of machinery, breakdown of machinery. The machine has broken down. Nothing we have to do. It creates a crisis. It could be because of illness of a very important employee, in a workplace, of an employee in a workplace. This is very dangerous. Sometimes it may put work on a standstill and causes panic, a crisis that is irreplaceable, that cannot be solved immediately. It could be because 2 or more employees are having a conflict. They are fighting each other, making work to move slowly. That is because of conflicts amongst employees, conflicts within employees. Employees may be having certain issues between themselves, and they make delays too much. So such reasons could be one of the causes of conflicts in a workplace. As a crisis in a workplace. A drop in revenue, drop in sales. Like we are selling less than what we used to sell, could be one of the causes of the crisis. Besides that, shortage of supply, decline in supply, where we are no longer producing enough. What's the cause? It could cause a crisis in a workplace, a situation of shortage, a situation of absence of what to do, what to sell, and putting work on standstill would bring about a crisis as noted. Let's look at another question, 3.2, which requires us to explain the differences between routine thinking, and creative thinking. Very important. after identifying this, look at the key aspects in the question. The question requires us to identify differences between routine thinking and the creative thinking. So it is question, don't forget to number question 3.2, differences between routine thinking, and creative thinking, Very important. So to remind you once again, questions of differences, they require us at least draw a table to tabulate. Look very smart. When you draw a table, your work will look more smart and organized compared to the other candidate, the other learner who's writing in a disorganized way. The layout order matters a lot because our subject can be marked with impression. How you impress, how you organize your work is very important. So it is therefore important to write differences in table form, and say routine thinking, and then maybe you draw a table and say creative thinking. Very important. Thinking is not compulsory, but very important because it creates an impression of someone who goes to class compared to someone who is a street, you can say a street candidate or a street learner who is not attempting things according to the teacher's direction. Okay, let's look at this. What is routine thinking? Routine thinking, this is doing the same thing, doing the same thing, expecting different results. You see, expecting different results. This is very, very bad in businesses. We are in a business which requires, we are in a situation where we are supposed to come up with a lot of new things, new ideas. Yes, something new and original. See, it is what you call a creative thinking is what is required. See, it is a process of coming up with new idea, a process of coming up with new ideas, to solve a problem. Solve a problem. This is what you call creative thinking. That is what you call creative thinking as opposed to routine thinking. So sometimes we find ourselves using past decisions to solve current problems. Decisions to solve current problems. That is called routine thinking. They're supposed to come up with a new way of doing things, which is called creative thinking. New and different ways different ways of solving problems, of solving what? Solving problems. That is what we call, 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 that is what we call creative thinking. Very important. So you should always master the two. Routine thinking, sticking to the old way of doing things. Creative thinking is coming up with something new, original, and different, and it is very important in development of the businesses. Okay, let's look at the next question from question number 3. We are given a business scenario of big fair wholesalers, BFW, big fair wholesalers that has hired employees and treats them fairly. Get that? Big fair wholesalers focuses on developing a moral compass for decision making. Okay? It focuses, this company focuses on developing a moral compass for decision making. So the management of big fair wholesalers believes that every act should be judged based on the effect it has on others. It believes that every act should be judged based on the effect it has on others. Look at this, very interesting. Besides that, they also conform to a set of values that are morally acceptable. They conform a set of values. They conform a set of, they also conform to the set of values that are morally acceptable. Yes, in where? In business. Yeah. Let's look at what do they need. What's the question? Quote 2 examples of ethical. Quote 2 examples of ethical. Quote 2 examples of ethical. Ethical behaviors from the scenario. Quote 2 examples of ethical behaviors from the scenario. So look. So the first quote is that the first one is BFW focuses on developing a moral compass, for decision making. Two, they also confirm a set of values that are morally acceptable. Just remind you what ethics are. Ethics are a set of values that are morally acceptable in the community. Yes, that is what we call ethics. Besides that, ethics act as a moral compass moral compass for decision making. Before you make any decision, you have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing morally upright? Does it conform to community norms, rules and regulations, values? Is it fair in the eyes of those who are seeing it? Is it right? Etc. So those are what you call ethical behaviors. So there is what you call another question asks us to explain what the management of BFW, the common good approach. The common good approach as a theory of ethics. The common good approach as a theory of ethics. The common good approach as a theory of what? Common good approach as a theory of ethics. Here, I want you to take a note of it. Very important. You need to know what it means. Yes. Now people are going to say, oh, what a word. That is very huge. It's not very common, no. Something which is very easy, simple to understand. It is our question 3.32. I want to make it easier for you. What does this mean? The common good approach theory of ethics, it focuses on ensuring, common, talking about common good, good approach theory. Good approach what? Approach theory. Common good what? Approach what? Theory. What does it look at? What does it say? What does the common good approach theory mean? First of all, understand it focuses on the concept that it focuses on ensuring that the business values, the business values and norms are in line with society, in line with ethical principles of the society, ethical principles of the society. So what is done in the business must not be different whatsoever with what is known in the society. You get that? So the business must not be a separate entity from the community. What it thinks that is ethical must also be ethical to the society. It also emphasizes the common good approach, emphasizes that it recognizes that values they vary from country. What is good in England may not be taken as important or good in USA as well as in South Africa. So that is what we call the common good approach theory. Besides that, this approach to ethics assumes that this approach to ethics. This approach to ethics. This approach ethics. Excuse me. This approach to ethics shows that it assumes that a society comprises individuals, comprises of individuals whose own good is extremely linked, or connected to the good of the community. What a person looks for as something is very important to him, it is as well as good to him and the community. So the personal chase is a community goal. A personal goal is a community goal. That is what it means. Yes, that is what it means. Okay, let's look at another question here. Next question. Let's look at another question which talks about the C. Oh, when we're done with this, they wanted us to give at least 2, but we have given more than 2. Let's look at question 3.4, which asks us to discuss the advantages of creative thinking. Advantages of creative thinking. At least a minimum of 3 questions must be, points must be given. And the question is 3.4. 3.4. Advantages of creative thinking. Is it good to carry out to have creative thinking in a workplace? Do you think businesses should encourage creative thinking? What are those advantages that comes with creative thinking? Whenever we come up with something new, different, and unique compared to our competitors, we are likely to get advantages. For example, a complex problem may be solved. Solving complex problems. See? Because we think out of the box, we come up with something new, a problem that is affecting the business, it is too big, it can be done. It can be solved with a lot of these inventions. It leads to new inventions. Come up with new inventions. We can discover new things and even innovations and this will improve the standards of living. So it can also give competitive advantage. Advantage to the business over the competitors. Advantages, competitive advantage to the business over the competitors. See, because you have come up with something new and different, the competitors will struggle to match up your ability, and you always stay above them. You're going to take the larger market share. So it it increases confidence of employees, increases employees' confidence, as they have come up with something very new. Confidence for sure, not competence. Confidence. It increases employers' confidence. Yes, because they have managed to come up with something new and different. Very important for creative thinking. Besides that, it leads to positive attitude. Leads to positive attitude in the business. In the business. Now, new employees will look at themselves as they can do whatever comes their way. There are so many others which you can think about. Very important. You can easily come up. Creativity is very important in the workplace, but you should always think about our usual answers: increasing profitability, productivity, increasing the customer satisfaction, increasing what you call it increases what you call market share, larger market share, and the competitive advantage, things of that kind, you see. So there are always some common answers which must be properly discussed, but linked. If they are linked properly to the question, they give us the most brilliant answers of all time. So that is it. Okay, I think we are seeing the scenario. The scenario talks about Brenda's Nails Boutique. Brenda Nails Boutique has been affected by new post-COVID techniques of marketing their services, and B&B advertisement strategy is now depending on advanced online communication. The new nail salons are now entering the market and introducing new products. We are supposed to identify two external causes of change that have affected B&B, and we're supposed to motivate answers by quoting from the scenario. What are the causes of change here? The cause of change is technological factor, and the motivation is B&B advertisement strategy is now dependent on advanced online communication. That is a new technology which has come up after COVID. Another factor here is the market factor. New nails salons are now entering the market and introducing new products. That is another That is a motivation for the market factor. Question 3.5 requires a candidate, a learner, to explain unemployment as a major change that a business and people deal with. What does this question require? This question requires a learner to define the concept of unemployment in the first step, give any two causes of unemployment and what probably unemployment may cause, or how it may affect the person who has faced the concept of the aspect of unemployment. Look at this. Okay. Unemployment is a situation whereby an employee loses his or her job because has been fired, or they quit, or he quits his job. That's what we call unemployment. Unemployment can lead. Unemployment is as a result of, can be as a result of retrenchment. Unemployment can be as a result of retrenchment. Sometimes businesses may close. Businesses may close down. When businesses close down, retrenchment, that is one. That is, because the company can no longer finance or meet its financial obligations, so it lay off some workers, or when the business is closing down, it may lead to unemployment. So it has a lot of effects that need to be dealt with, because it can lead to trauma. It can lead to someone may be traumatized. A thing that may lead to depression, which can lead to depression of an individual. Therefore, someone who is depressed, who has been unemployed, he may face such challenges which can even ruin completely his life and may even die. So we have to deal with the unemployment. Let's look at question 3.6. It talks about differences between good and bad decisions. Future managers, you are supposed to carry out good decisions. With that, before you make any decision, you are supposed to make a decision that is worth taking. What is a good decision? What is a bad decision? Differences should always be written in tabular form. Let's look at what we call good decisions. Good decisions that is done by a manager or a business. A decision done by the manager, which is good. And we shall again look at what we call bad decisions. Bad decisions. How do good decisions may look like? Good decisions maintain high degree of integrity. There is high level of integrity. This high level of integrity, which is so good. That is a good decision. However, if it is a bad decision, you are going to witness a lot of challenges. For example, there is no consideration of values, no considerations of values. People don't care of how the decision will affect the community, will affect others, how it will affect the values of others. That is it. Besides that, good decisions honor professional practices. They honor Good decision honors this honoring of professional business practices, professional business practices. Yes, practices. What about bad decisions? There is a lot of insufficient information. There is a lot of errors. There is insufficient information. Decisions are not based on facts. That whatever is done is not based on what? On facts, and so many others. That is a clue on how to deal with them. Let's look at question number 4. Let's look at question number 4. Question number 4. These are miscellaneous topics. Miscellaneous topics, what does this mean? It is a combination of business ventures, and it is a combination of business ventures and the business roles. Ventures plus business what? Roles. So what does it come in? This one, business ventures, will give us questions which will give us 20 marks, and business roles will give us questions that will give us a total mark of 20, and both of them added together will give us 40 marks. Let's start one by one. One question by one. Let's look at the first question. Talks about outlining the contractual implications of outsourcing. Outlining the contractual implications for question 4.1, business roles, business ventures, the contractual implications of outsourcing. I remember very well. I understand that now, after looking at these ones in section A, we properly went through it. Even this time, I think what it means by outsourcing now, we understand it, and we want to use that previous experience in order to attempt this very question. Let's see one by one. I want us to remind ourselves what outsourcing is. Just as a reminder, outsourcing is when a business hires another business to be part of its business obligation, and when such a task is completed, the contract of the other new business is terminated. So we are saying that a business hires another business to be part of its business, its activity. That could be because of several reasons, which we already saw. For example, a business that is outsourcing another business may be having shortage of skills in the field for which it is hiring an external business. Besides that, it may lack manpower that is specific or needed for that particular activity, that particular job for which it is hiring another business. It could be because they lack equipment and tools which can be obtained by another business. That's why they have to hire the services of another business to come and perform a certain task for this, on behalf of this business. It is very common for a construction company to hire the services of electricity installing company. So that is it. So let's look at the contractual implications of outsourcing as a business. Let's go. Look at this. So we are saying, first of all, a contract protects the rights and responsibilities of the two parties. Responsibilities of the two parties involved. Two parties involved. Which two parties are we talking about? We are talking about the outsourcing company and the other one that is outsourced. So the following aspects included in the contract are as follows. Let's look at them one by one. The aspects included in the contract are as the exact service, or a product to be rendered. Why are you outsourcing me for? What am I going to do there? It must be shown. Besides that, the duration of the contract, must be shown. How long am I going to be doing this work? The duration of the contract. The details of the duties and responsibilities of the parties. What am I going to do? When am I doing it? Who am I reporting to? Things of the like. Confidentiality. It is sometimes very important to have the clause of non-disclosure. There are certain aspects that must not be exposed to the public. And confidentiality is a very important clause in the contract during outsourcing. Also, terms of payment. How are we going to pay? How am I going to be paid if I'm to do that? Then penalties of non-conformity. If I'm not complying to the terms of the agreement, what are some penalties am I going to face? And so many others that may be very important to be included in the contract. That is very important. Let's look at another question just to save time. Let's look at another question. Question 4.3. Question 4.3. We are reading the scenario. You can see. Oh no. We want to look at question of 4.2. Procedures. The procedure for the formation of a company. Procedure. These are the steps that are needed, that we should take when we are forming a company. That is 4.2. 4.2. Procedures. 4.2. Procedures for the formation of company. Procedures for formation of company. What are we supposed to do? Where should we start from? What should we do first? And what should we do? Procedures for the formation of company. First of all, determine the number of people. Determine the number of people who are establishing the company. People establishing the company. Determine people establishing the what? Establishing the company. Establishing the company. You must be very sensitive to how many people are required to start that type of a company you want to establish. Therefore, the minimum number is important. Minimum number is necessary to be maintained. If it is a partnership, you know the number of people that is needed. If it is a sole trade, you must know the number of people that is necessary. Besides that, you are supposed to review or set the company name. Company, you must give a company its name, which must be original. The name must be original. Different, and describe the type of service rendered by your company. Rendered by the company. Yes, that's the name. We talked about how the name should be then by the company. Yeah. Besides that, there's this. Besides that, after that, you are supposed, the name must be approved. The next step is approval of the name. Name must be approved by the CIPC. By the CIPC. This name must be approved by CP and gazetted so that nobody can establish another business of the same type with the same name. Besides that, you have supposed to draft or draw the memorandum of incorporation. This looks like a constitution of the business, which is going to guide all shareholders in the business. After that, you are supposed to receive the certificate of registration yes, that you have registered your business. From there, you are supposed to open an account. Yes, these things must be in a sequence. You can't open up an account for the business before you receive the certificate of registration. And after that, register with the SARS, register with the revenue services with SARS for tax, because any legal business must have to pay taxes. Thank you so much. Let's go to another step of the question, which says, question 3 says, read the scenario and then they answer the question that are following. Tamil Properties, TP. Tamil Properties owns buildings around the country. The business contract with the TP and pay businesses contract with the TP and pay them every month for the use of the property for a specified amount of time. Tamil Properties owns a building or buildings actually around the country, and businesses contract with TP and pay them every month for the use of property for a specified amount of time. The owner of the building is Tamil Properties. He gives them out in the form of contracting to those who want to use, and those people to whom the buildings are lent out are supposed to pay a specified amount of money, a specific amount of amount of time which these people use. We have that question. Identify the business venture avenue. Identify the business avenue that is used by Tamil. The business avenue is leasing. Business avenue is leasing. I think if you remind yourself very well, you can understand what leasing. This is when the leaser gives out his property to a lessee, specifically to make sure that the lessee pays for the use of that asset or property for a given period of time, beyond which the leaser will repossess the property. So the lessee, the person who's getting it from the person leasing it out, is going to own it for a given period of time, and the leaser is going to re-own it again. What is the motivation therefore? The motivation is that the business contracts, the businesses contract with TP and pay them every month for the use of the property, for the use for a specified amount of time. That's it. So we are going to another question here. We are required to explain the disadvantages. Actually the disadvantages of the business avenue identified in question 3.3.1. Disadvantages. Specifically, the lessee, the person does not own lessee. The lessee does not own, this person does not own the property, for good, which is bad. Is just going to use it until for a given period of time. So even the leaser, the owner of the property, the first owner of the property, has control over the asset, So, and financial obligations, every time Please, you have not paid it for me. You have not paid this amount of money. Please pay. Please pay me this. Eh? This continue paying. Eh? This continuous paying. You spend a lot. A lot is spent. A lot is spent on paying for lease, paying for a lease. It could be monthly or annually. This is too much. It is very hectic. It's not good. Sometimes some businessmen fail to meet their debt obligations and they find it so difficult. Okay, let's look at this another question here, which requires us to advise a business on advantages of state-owned companies. Reminder, the major key aspect in the question is state-owned what? Companies. And they want us to suggest to give advantages of state-owned businesses. If we want to remind ourselves, what are state-owned businesses? These are businesses which are owned and operated, owned by the government. The government may employ certain individuals to operate them on their behalf, but the profits and revenues collected go to the state, to the state finances. You get that? So we find it there. Basically, there are so many reasons why the government start such businesses. Specifically, the best reason why the government may start such businesses is to provide basic necessities that the private sector may fail to produce, neglected by the private sector, neglected by the private sector. State-owned companies produce goods at lower prices, or supply goods. Their goods charge a lower price because their intention is to improve the standards of living of people. They avoid duplication of services because they tend to operate as monopolists. Avoid the duplication of services. Duplication of services is avoided because they tend to operate as monopolists. Is avoided. There is a planning body. There is a planning body responsible for managing. Planning can be done through a central control. Planning is done through a central body. And we think these people are knowledgeable enough. They understand the economic climate. They can come up with appropriate policies that can benefit the business. That's such things and so many others can be found under advantages of state-owned companies. State-owned companies are businesses which are owned by the government. They are government-owned enterprises. Let's look at another question, and this time they come from business rules. Question 4.5, business rules. What could be the internal causes of change in the business? When a business has new goals or new objectives, there could be a change that is happening. And there is a new objective or a new goal of the business. We change the way we've been doing our businesses. Another aspect, when there is a high staff turnover, may cause change in the business. Sometimes business face a situation where employees keep leaving the business. Today one goes, the other day, another one leaves, which is not good for the company, for the operations and the image. Therefore, there could be certain reasons, reasons as to why there is an increase of staff turnover. We need to change that. If it is identified, we need to change it. And that is one of the causes of of changes. It could be because of new management. When a new manager comes into the business, he may come up with a lot of changes where he looks at things in another way, and then things could be changed. Another aspect could be because of retrenchment. When employees have been cut off from the job, you may find out certain branches, certain employees are given more tasks. The number of total output could be reduced. Sources of maybe the amount of raw materials to be used could also be cut off. There are so many reasons that could lead to causes of change, of which retrenchment could be one of them. Another one could be because of new equipments, new machines and the equipments. These new equipments always may be because of new latest technology, which is fast, which is clean and more efficient. It may lead to new changes in the company. For example, the efficiency of machines may render some employees useless in the company, or because they cannot use the new type of equipment brought, and therefore they can be retrenched, which is a change. Let's look at another part of the question, and it is a scenario. There is job result, that is MR result. This company job result employees are very tense and appear tired when they have to serve their customers. They appear are very tense and appear very tired when they have to serve their customers. Wow, these people are tired. Each employee is expected to wipe the table, imagine, scrub the floor, wash the dishes after serving. This is too much work. The customer. Identify the causes of stress. There is a lot of stress which is seen here. Identify the causes of stress and then motivate your answer. You identify the causes of stress and then motivate your answer. Yes, I think the causes, obviously the cause of stress which we have seen is heavy workload. Heavy workload. You can't just be doing too much of that. Heavy workload. These people are working too much. They have a lot of workload, or if you said unrealistic target, you would get a mark. Unrealistic target. Like possibly this is unattainable by one single individual within the shortest time possible, because each employee is expected to wipe the table, scrub the floor, and wash the dishes after serving. After what? Serving. I understand now. You know how to write the motivation. You said when you want to write the motivation, you have first of all, you quote the whole sentence where it starts and where it ends. Don't just give a half of a point. That's like cutting off a living person halfway. Just get the whole point there. That one will give us 3 marks. Discuss the importance of stress management. You said it is very important to understand that stress is very dangerous in the workplace. Stress is a very dangerous aspect in a workplace. And if it's not managed properly, it may lead to trauma and it may cause a lot of challenges. We are saying if it's not managed properly, importance of stress management, that it can cause health issues. It may lead to health issues, the staff members. Yes, they may become sick because of stress. Besides that, stressed employees may miss work. It may miss work. Sometimes these people will not work because of stress. So therefore, it is curbing absenteeism. Curb absenteeism. So when there is proper absenteeism, when there is proper stress management, there is control of absenteeism. That may include a lot of where you increase productivity. It reduces conflicts. It reduces conflicts and grievances are reduced. Conflicts are reduced and grievances at work. Very important. So it is important to control stress in the workplace. Poor service delivery are minimized. Poor services are minimized, are reduced to be rendered by a stressed employee, etc. Such answers and others are very crucial when we are answering that question. How can a business recommend ways a business can apply force field analysis? How a business can apply force field analysis. Just remind you under force field analysis, this is how we need to apply force field analysis. So first of all, you are supposed to list the current situation. Guys, people, what you see here, invite your employees, tell them that what we are seeing is that we have a problem of shortage of sales. Last month, we are selling around 2 million in a week. Now we are selling 500,000. What could be the reason? Then describe the desired situation. Then describe desired situation. Describe the desired situation. Is tell them that we are supposed to be selling 2 million. This is what we want. We would like to be. So you have to write a plan for change. Plan for change. Say we need a plan for change. We need to change for the better. We need to change for what? For the better. And people must try to give us what is good and what is bad about that plan. what is good about that plan and what is bad about that plan. Yes, they must be by giving advantages and disadvantages for that strategy you are trying to bring, for that strategy you are trying to. People must give us the answers or ways how that could be of advantage or disadvantage. List all the forces driving, or that's the driving forces of change and resisting forces of change. List or list, as opposed to list driving forces of change. List all the driving forces of change. List all the driving forces and resisting forces. Look at what factors driving forces and resisting forces. What factors are prohibiting this business, these forces, this change to happen the way you like it? From there, we list all forces of change, in one column. After putting them in one column, we assign scores. Which factor is very important from the most important factor, give it 5. Then the least important, give it 1. So that the highest, the one with the highest score should be considered. The one with the highest score should be considered. That is it. That is how we use the force field analysis. That is how we use force field analysis. Okay. For this reason, let's look at section C. I've been very fast on that because we want to save some free time for this part, which is very important, section C, and we see what is the major ways how we deal with this section. There are certain aspects which we must know how to deal with these things. We are going to look at one by one. What makes section C the essay part of business studies. When we are given such a question, for example, in section C, we are required to answer one question, either number 5 or number 6. Before you choose one, just first go through other questions from both sections, business ventures or business roles. Find out which one of them you are more comfortable with and choose that very one you can do better. Remember, we choose what we can do better, not what's the most difficult one, to show that we are more superior than the rest of the class members. No, we do what we can do best by ourselves. Look at this. So we have this question here, question number 5, from a section of business ventures. So any essay question has some important aspect that we must always consider when we are answering it. Any essay question must have what we call introduction. It must have Introduction. Introduction. We must give our essay question an introduction. Write it in your answer sheet. After numbering that question number 5, write the word introduction. After writing the word introduction, we are going to introduce our question by going through, at least come and find, we are supposed to introduce with two essays. This is two clear sentences. We are supposed to use a minimum of 2 points. They're supposed to write paragraphs in point form. Introduction points, introduction paragraphs in point form. 2 paragraphs in point form. Look at these questions. For example, they are asking, elaborate on the meaning of memorandum of incorporation. Full stop. Find out what is the key word in this question. They want memorandum of incorporation. Then look at question number 2. It talks about explain the benefit of establishing a company over other forms of ownership. Keywords here are forms of ownership or a company. Another question here is saying, discuss the differences between a sole trader and a partnership. And then the last question says, advise the business on advantages of personal liability companies. What I'm underlining, these are keywords from the question. After identifying these keywords, key concepts in the question, you are supposed to choose any 2 of the keywords so that you can at least introduce, use them as your introduction by defining them in simple words. For example, you can say a memorandum, or you can choose a memorandum of incorporation or a sole trade or anything. Say a company, you can say, a sole trader is a business owned by one person. Stop. You can also say that a partnership, on your second paragraph in the point, a partnership is an agreement between 2 partners. This could be your introduction. You can choose any of them. This could be your first heading 5.1. So you can go to the gist of the matter. What is very important by giving the heading question 5.2 is elaborate on the meaning. Say the meaning of a memorandum of incorporation, and then you underline this. You must give the heading. This one will give you layout 1. This one will give you 2 marks for introduction, and this one will give you analysis 1. By just writing this, we have all these marks already. The meaning of memorandum of incorporation. So you start to give us what you think memorandum of incorporation is. For example, we say this acts as a constitution for all shareholders. It describes the duties and responsibilities of every shareholder. It gives us the date of establishment of the business and then the date of closure. It gives us how shareholders are going to share responsibilities, etc. You give us all that stuff, but remember to write in point form. Most of the learners make a mistake by writing all their answers in one paragraph. You find a cloud of answers in one paragraph. That is very wrong. You find a swarm of answers in one paragraph. That is too bad. So you go to 5.3 heading, which says the benefits of establishing a company over other forms. Very easy. Other forms of business. So what are you supposed to do? Okay, you see how I have picked, that is looking for, I'm not including the word explain. You can see that this is not there when I'm doing my analysis. This is not there. You are seeing that this is very different from what I've written. I've just picked up this one. That is how we write. We analyze. That is analysis for your case. So you give your benefits of establishing companies. Public companies are so good. Like, for example, they enjoy limited liability. They are limited liability companies. They have legal entity. You must explain what it means by a legal entity and compare it with other companies that they don't have this, and that makes the company at a more bargaining power. Talk about how taxes are made, taxation. Talk about how capital is raised, how is capital raised, and how good it is. Go to question 5.4, which talks about discuss the differences between sole trader and partnership. This is so good. If you come such a question of differences, you are free to use what? You are free to use a table when you are doing your differences. Please use a table so that you give us your answers. Decision making is easy. You have to wait for all partners. Shares, profits alone, you have to, profits are shared by all people. So you go to question. Another question is question number 5, heading 5.5, which talks about 5.5, which talks about advantages of personal liability companies. Advantages of personal liability companies. Liabilities. So you underline this and you start giving us your answers in point form. Give us your answers in point what? Point form. For example, all these ones are the same answers. Liability, limited liability, legal entities. We talk about the mode of taxation which are charged on incomes. Capital is raised so quickly and more compared to a sole trade and etc. Then the past part of the question is always 5.6. 5.6, and you try to talk about the sixth part of the question should always be your conclusion. Should always be your conclusion. You are supposed to write the word conclusion, and after writing the word conclusion, underline and come up with the stand point. You say, maybe, for example, it is very important to establish public companies because their advantages way more compared to the advantages which are received by other forms of business, what? Ownership. Or you can say the memorandum of incorporation is a very important document that a business will not operate well if it was not signed. Besides, it may not even be established. Company may not be registered without a memorandum of incorporation. The same depending on what you feel is the most suitable for you. And you receive layout 2 for this. It is the layout, and receive your conclusion will take you 2 marks for conclusion. So look, this is how we award marks. The marker will award marks in this manner. For example, you look for facts. If you have properly explained all the most important aspects, the facts, these like facts like this, so they all take a total of 32 marks. 32 marks includes the 2 marks for introduction, the 2 marks for introduction, this one, and the 2 marks for conclusion. Then they go to count answers for this one, answers for this one, the marks obtained here, marks obtained here, marks obtained at this point. All of them must add up. They add up to 32. They make a total of 32. Look, after that, you are blessed with the 3 marks of the layout. It's called the layout. Let me erase this. Look at this. You're supposed to write the layout, which is a L, represent plus, which is supposed to be 2 marks. Where did we get the layout? Layout is the arrangement of work. Layout, how you plan to do your work. With your introduction, that was the first layout 1, and then the second layout is always awarded on the conclusion, giving us, this gives us 2 marks. This gives us 2 marks. Introduction and conclusion gives us 2 marks. Then look at analysis. Analysis is how we have broken down a question into a more simpler way so that we can understand the question. For example, when we said differences between sole trader and partnership, we are analyzing. When you said the benefits of establishing the company over other forms of, we are analyzing the question of explaining the benefits like that. So analysis gives us 2 marks, which were awarded for the first the first question that was analyzed up to the second one. Then there is what we call synthesis. Synthesis marks are 2. They are awarded if you are able to resonate, to give out proper answers on all the questions that were required to be answered. The examiner will give you marks, 2 marks, if you have tried to answer correctly on the 4 questions that were given. On this question this, and question this. If you gave all the headings right and you were able to give the answers as required, you get synthesis, 2 marks free. Then originality, which is originality, that is what we call a use of examples. If you've used any example somewhere, which type of examples are we talking about? We are talking about more appropriate and modern, most recent type of examples that we are given when you are explaining. That is how you award those marks. Originality is for examples, and that will give you a total of 40 marks. That will give you a total of 40 marks. I always implore you, always make sure that at least you must have these headings numbered. I mean, for at least must have 6 headings. The first one must be for introduction, and the last one should be for conclusion. Remember to give your examples. Headings are very crucial because they award you marks for analysis, and try to give most relevant answers because they will help you to earn 3 marks of synthesis so that you can get 40 marks. Very important. For example, if we are to again come here, just as a reminder, make sure that you don't get lost. Just another example here. You are supposed to start with introduction. You write the word introduction on your answer sheet. After writing the word introduction, underline it at least. Look for keywords here. Code of ethics. On this question, advantages of ethical business ventures. Ethical business ventures. Explain the differences between the principles of ethics and principles of professionalism. Those are the keywords. Recommend ways in which professional, responsible, ethical, and effective business practice should be conducted. Those are what we call, that is, those are the same things we've been talking about. So talk about what we call ethics in your definition, at least define ethics. Also talk about what we call professionalism. Then you come, this should be question 6. This should be your first heading 6.1. Then 6.2, at least say the advantages. We give advantages for the body now. Advantages of, actually it's not advantages, sorry. We are talking about, the first question should be, we are talking about requirements for a good code of ethics. You underline this. Then you give your answers. So number 3 is this to give your answers, but remember in point form. Then the next heading should be 6.3. They are saying describe the advantages of ethical business ventures. Underline this, and then you give us your answers. Then on 6.4, they're asking, what is the question here? Can I see it? Is recommend, explain the differences between principles of ethics and principles of professionalism. So you come, you said it's very important such themes of differences, you draw a table and you give us your answers in a tabular form. It is not compulsory, but very important because it makes you a very organized candidate, very organized learner. So look, so you give us ethics here, and you give us professionalism here. Differences. Then you give us, 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 you give us. Then 6.5. 6.5. They want us to give the profession, how the business can conduct itself in a professional, how the business can conduct itself professionally, ethically, and in a most good way, best way. So that is, you give us your answers here, and then finally with good examples, and then finally you give us your conclusion. Underline this word conclusion and you give us your answers. It's important to conclude with one standing point, but always avoid to conclude with your introduction. Some learners have made a very huge mistake by giving answers, I mean a conclusion, from their introduction, repeating what they used to introduce the topic, the question with, as their conclusion. That will not be awarded a mark. Thank you so much. Hopefully you've learned a lot. Let's meet another time. Thank you.